Welcome. This is my first interview with another human being, so I'm very excited. And my nephew and Professor Orson Webber McCollaum is here to share his experiences for the Pop Quiz MC channel. So, welcome, Orson.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start out by just talking about your Uncle John, my brother. Do you have anything you'd like to share about him?
So I guess we can talk about my first memories of him. I don't know that I mean, I'm certain I met him earlier than this, but like, if I think back, my first memories of him are definitely playing Trivial Pursuit in that living room right there, actually. Um, yeah, I remember he would just sweep the game when it came to sports trivia and history too. And I remember being like, how does anybody know? How can you possibly know this much about these things?
About these useless things, these unbelievably.
Yeah, I was not as into those things as he was, but I just didn't understand how a person could like know that.
Okay, and I think he used to play other games with you too, right?
Oh,
Like,
I'm certain, but
I
those
think
are the
he
ones I
played
remember.
chess with you, and I think he and Mother stopped playing Scrabble with you, right? Because you kicked their
Well,
butts.
I don't think they stopped. They just they oh well maybe they didn't tell me because I would like come back home and they'd be playing. Maybe that was I didn't realize that was on purpose. Yeah. You let it slip. Now I know. That was they didn't tell me that they'd
Ah,
stopped playing with me.
fair
That's
enough.
funny.
Fair enough. How is teaching going? How's the job?
Well, it's too busy. I got too much going on. I just feel like I'm not doing as good a well, I'm doing an okay job, but every time you take on something new, there's less time for dedicating to lesson prep and grading and actually making sure that you're doing as good as you can in the classroom. So,
Right.
yeah, it's staying afloat, but
But it's not easy. Not
no,
right
and
now.
it's just not as organized or as good. And they got me teaching five different preps, and that's
Ooh,
always rough because
yeah.
what am I doing at any point in time? Every single class is different. You spend five times as much time creating material, and you're way less knowledgeable. Kids will be like, "What page are we on?" I don't know. I don't know.
Is there an activity that you do with your students that you think really benefits them, that you like doing with them?
Well, so I've begun thinking this more and more and more. It really changes depending on this type of the students you've got and the community you're in. So, where I'm teaching right now, the kids don't dedicate time to learning the subject outside of class. And
Right.
so the way you use that stuff that was expected of me to do at home when I was a student is stuff that I have to do in class because they don't do it at home. So an activity that works really well for my classroom is flashcards.
Right.
It used to be a homework assignment. You go make your flashcards, you turn them in. But if I do that, my kids aren't gonna my kids aren't gonna know the vocab. So making flashcards in class is a really helpful one. And then making sure that those flashcards are worth something at the end, holding on to those flashcards for a week, giving them a reward for that. It makes sure that they spend some time with it. I
So
mean, that's
what
a
does so what does a flashcard consist of?
right. Yeah, that surprised me. I get kids coming in who don't know what flashcards are. Right. Flashcard. One side has got the English word, and the other side's got the Spanish, or it doesn't work so well for Chinese because the skill we're looking for is writing from memory as opposed to like sight recognition. So one side's got the English and one side's got Spanish. And I've got kids, yeah, they come in, I tell them make flashcards, and they've written like all of the vocab on, like I tried to fit all the vocab on, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, you could have asked me what it meant, if you didn't know. So yeah, good question. Good question. That actually
So
gets a
do
lot
you
of
ever
kids.
use a flashcard where you have an image on one side and then the word in Spanish on the other? Have you ever done that?
I haven't done that. No, that certainly would have for me. That would flashcards were not my favorite. I remember every time a teacher told me to make flashcards, I was like, why are you wasting my time? I'll just memorize the words in 10 minutes and then we can move on to doing something else. Like, don't make me waste paper. And I would have really hated making an image on one side. That would have been like the worst.
Well,
But
yeah, you would
the
print them out though. You wouldn't necessarily draw them. Like you
right.
might
So
like print out a picture of a girl or a boy or something like that and put them on the cards.
there's definitely something there. Yeah. And I think that that'd be a good idea if I could tell kids like, hey, I mean, I would still want them to create it. So
Right.
if they wanted to send images to me, but I think I would recommend them drawing. I'm like, hey, if it's something you can draw, do an image if that's something fun for you. Some kids would really love that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so do you have them do vocabulary every week or every 2 weeks? Is there a span for it?
Yeah, so our schedule is super shortened, but we're still supposed to teach a year's worth of material. And so every week, so in those Spanish classes, we're talking 40 to 60 words a week.
Okay.
And grammar, new grammar, which I mean, if you count conjugations as words, I mean, you really get up there in terms of word count. So yeah, every week, 40 to 60 words. And then Chinese is a little slower, every week, 10 to 30, which
Okay.
is which is I mean, that's harder. It's
Right.
harder.
Because when they see the Chinese words, they don't see a phonetic spelling, they see an image, right?
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
drawing essentially.
Yeah, it's hard to get momentum in a Chinese course because you need to have a certain amount of acquisition to pick up speed, and it's just really hard to build that in a Chinese class. I mean, I don't know that we give our students enough time I shouldn't say, it's going to be really hard for them to pick up momentum in our school.
Right. Right. You also have them do presentations, right? That's something that
Yeah.
you do.
So I actually kind of moved away from presentations because the classes have gotten so small. So my ideal setup where they practice presenting to each other over the course of 2 days doesn't work as well. And so I started can't remember where I got the idea, but I had them start making videos. And no, it was from you. You gave me the idea. Subtitling the videos.
Right.
So they make a video, they have to subtitle it. The subtitles have to align in time with what they're saying. And I noticed that for a lot of kids, that was exceptionally helpful. I'll say that it's not, I really like it because I think that the skill of movie making is really, really helpful. But in terms of getting the kids to practice it, it's not quite as effective, but it's way better. Making movies is way better with the number of kids that I have
Uh-huh.
than presentations is. Because if I try to get the kids to do presentations with as small of a group, okay, so the activity, I should explain how the activity works because
Okay.
uneven knows it, but not everybody does. So if you've got a class of 20 kids to 30 kids, this works really well. You give the students a week to create a PowerPoint presentation along with a memorized script. And then you tell them they've got to do it completely from memory. They can't read, they can't look. If they look at anything while they're giving their presentation that's got written language on it, it's an automatic 50% off. And of course, most of them won't study or practice because that's hard and painful. So Thursday and Friday are presentation day. And I mean, students aren't usually going to make anything longer than 2 minutes anyway, but you tell them don't make anything longer than 3 minutes. And then at the very beginning of class, you have them, they're in a circle. Half of the class is presenting that day, and the other half is not. They're just watching. And you put a timer on, you set the timer for 3 minutes. And every 3 minutes, you make the kids present from memory to one classmate. And then all the listeners switch to the
Oh,
next desk and the next desk. And you do that for however long you can afford to do that. And you can even like just start grading kids if there are some exceptional ones. You just mark them as like 100% or whatever. Um, and then you jump in when you've got to jump in and you start listening to all the presentations. And what you get is a guarantee that every single student that you observe has practiced for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, constant memorization.
right.
And the first time you do that, a lot of them fail. Or maybe you have all of your good kids go that first day, and all of the slackers are like, "Ooh, I really have to like, I see where the bar is set now." And then you also get this chance to hold the bar or hold the line, and the kid thinks they can get away with it because they've come from a place, or maybe I don't know. They just think that maybe they don't have to do that here. They find out they do. And they also see that everyone can do it. Like it's one of those things where people are like, oh, I can't do that. That kid can't do that. And then they see that kid do it and they're like, oh, well, then I can do it too because I'm smart.
So
So the problem is
do
when
they
you get down
use
to
the
10 kids,
vocabulary from the week to make their
yeah,
presentations?
right. And they get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in class. That's the only thing they're working on.
Right,
So there's no excuse. And the problem is when you get down to a class of 10 kids, because we're so low in enrollment right now, 5 kids practicing over and over, it doesn't feel like an important use of their time. They get bored
right,
presenting the same thing to the same person over and over, and also that competitive spirit lessens in smaller classes. Like you get small classes, and they're all of a sudden they're less competitive. So the movie making seems to be a better strategy for this size.
right.
And I should say, but it's not even 10 kids you can still do it with. It's when you get down to 6. That's
Yeah,
when you really can't. Yeah,
yeah. So they make the movie and they type in their own subtitles.
right.
So do they do the movie in English and then type in the subtitles in Spanish, or do
They
they?
keep trying to get away with that. I keep telling them, no, it's not English. You're not doing this in English. What are you doing? I made one time the prompt was your TikTok language teacher. Like, oh, Spanish teachers hate this one trick. Gets fluent in Spanish in like, 5 minutes a day. Something like that. And I was like, pretend like you're teaching a lesson like that. And then from then on, they were like, oh, so I can just speak English. So, no, that was a one-time thing. Yeah, they're always trying, and I have to be like, no, redo this.
So they have to do it in, say, Spanish or Chinese,
Right.
and then they have to put on the subtitles in English.
No, in Chinese or Spanish. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. So it's both spoken and written language
Right.
simultaneously.
Right. Right. And
Oh,
then
that's
if I
interesting.
suspect they're a cheater, I'll just say, what's that say? And if they go like, oh, I'm like, well, it's a zero then. You like go and figure out what you said and then come back to me. And when you know what you said, then I can give you the grade. And,
Oh,
and that's
wow.
the nice thing about the video assignment, especially with the grading system I use, which is just it's 4 points. So if I want you to, I mean, I make the revision simple and straightforward. But
Right,
basically, like you didn't do enough, you didn't do what I wanted you to do. Here's what I want you to do to come back for the next higher grade.
right,
And that's one thing I would say is really important about this assignment is they can always work on it. It's
right,
a revision. It has to be revision because this to me is like an essay. A
right,
movie is like an essay. Like you can continue to revise this as long as you need, as long as you're working on it.
right.
Although I do suspect I'm gonna have a kid or two in a week who go like, "So can I redo every single video I ever made?" I'm gonna be like, "Well, I guess you can try.
You can go, kid, give it a shot.
Go for it." And if I get to it, I'll look at it. But you're working against the clock right now. Like everybody wants my time, so good
Right,
luck.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're working on your doctorate right now,
Mm.
and you're a doctoral candidate at this point. Is that right?
Yeah, so I passed my first comprehensive exam on Tuesday. Well, so and it's Thursday today, so 2 days ago. And I
Okay.
have doctoral candidate status, yeah, which means I'm Albert Doctorate, ABD.
Oh boy. So now what? What's the last or the coming step?
So I've got 3 years. I have three years to finish my research. The next step would be making the revisions that the committee told me to make.
Okay.
And then once I make those revisions, I have permission to apply for IRB permission to conduct the research. So first step, make revisions. Get second step, wait for them to tell me that I successfully made the revisions. And if they say, wait, no, do more, I would do more. But so revisions first, then completing the Institutional Research Board's permission requesting process to get permission to conduct the research, then reaching out to potential participants, and then going from there.
Okay. And that'll take a year, you think?
Oh, minimum. Yep,
Oh, okay.
minimum.
All right.
Hopefully just a year, but you can't. No, I don't see how. I mean, if I didn't have a job,
Maybe.
if I wasn't working, yeah, if I wasn't working, yeah, I could get that. I could get it done faster. Maybe I could incorporate that feedback. Like I'd be incorporating that feedback now. I'd have it done by the end of the week. Get it get permission. IRB approval takes, they say, a couple weeks. So I'd have the permission to start in the summer, and then I could lean on some networks, some professional networks I have, and start reaching out to participants. And because it's the summer, they might actually have more availability to meet and talk. Could do that, get the data, and then start analysis. And maybe I could wrap up analysis by the end of fall. But even if I had wrapped it up by the end of maybe or even early fall, I'd still have to defend and all that stuff. So I suspect, yeah, the earliest it could be would be in the spring anyway, next
Okay.
year.
Yeah. Spring of next year.
Yeah,
But
earliest. The
yeah.
fall of next year if I need fall of the following year if it's not super fast.
Right. Okay.
Worry if it's been 2.5 years and I'm not done yet. That's when I'd say.
Well, I don't have any worries at all. I think you're going to be great. I don't think there's going to be a problem. I have great faith in you.
Working on
Okay,
that.
I'm going to stop the recording here.
Okay.
And this is going to, I'm planning to put this up on my channel on Saturday.